6:07, good morning to your friends. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Nashville's Morning News with Johnny B, Ken Weaver, Dan Mandis here, and Governor Lee, of course, a big day in Middle Tennessee for education. Big debate going on regarding Governor Lee and his voucher program. Now, a lot of people seem to like this program. Other people don't seem to like this program. It's interesting. The more people that I speak to, you got some people that are saying, oh, this is going to pass the state legislature, no problem. Other people are not so confident. So this is going to be an intriguing process to watch. But this is what Governor Lee said yesterday.
Because I've seen the lives of children changed when they had an opportunity to find the right school for their unique needs.
Now, I'm going to tell you a little story about yours truly. I went to private school, kindergarten through sixth grade when I was in California. Seventh grade, I started to go to public school. And you want to talk about jarring. And I realize this is a different state in a different era, my friends. But I will tell you that even back in the 70s and 80s, there was a huge difference between those two experiences. When it comes to class size, when it comes to quite simply the behavior of the kids in a private school versus a public school, there is a massive, massive difference. You got some people that are saying, well, there is no difference. Of course there's a difference. And anybody who says there is no difference between the two obviously hasn't done their homework. Now, we played this audio in the 5 o'clock hour. This is the Democrats and their response to the governor's plan to give $7,075 in state funds to $20,000 to attend a private or home school of their choice by the 2024-25 school year. Those are disadvantaged kids. By the following year, all students, every student in Middle Tennessee will get a little over $7,000 to go to the school of their choice, as long as it's a private school and so forth. And so the Democrats are hyperventilating, saying, oh, this is a defunding of the public schools. It's really not.
Vouchers are a scam.
He's proposing to rip off Tennessee taxpayers simply to subsidize private school education for his wealthy friends and the wealthy few.
So we are talking about public dollars, taxpayer dollars, going to private institutions.
If you come after our public schools, we're coming after you.
Democratic lawmakers call the Freedom Education Scholarships a scam.
This is going to be on the taxpayers whose property taxes are going to increase in addition to their tax money going to private schools.
They fear this expansion could defund public schools.
Nope.
If you as a parent choose to send your child there with your own money and you want them to get an education that is inferior to a traditional public school, by all means.
So there's a lot there. First of all, those are the voices of John Ray Clemens, London Lamar, and Ramesh Akbari, all Tennessee Democrats. Now, one of the quotes that you heard there, it was, I think, John Ray Clemens was saying, well, this is Governor Lee trying to help his rich friends. On what planet do these people live on? Because clearly this is not Governor Lee trying to help out his rich friends. Next year, the first year that they want to implement this, it goes to economically disadvantaged kids. In the first year, that's where that $20,000 comes from. Duh. And so then you go down the road of, they're saying, oh, well, the education in a public school is just as good, if not better, than a private school. And, you heard that last quote. I'll play it again just to make sure that you got the context.
And you want them to get an education that is inferior to a traditional public school, by all means.
Now, that is clearly silly. Clearly silly. Whether you're talking about standardized testing, the behavior of students, which is what I just went through in my own experiences, private schools, like it or not, are better than public schools academically speaking. Follow the science. That's what Democrats like to tell us, right? Follow the science. Research has consistently shown that private school students tend to perform better on standardized tests, reports Newsweek. The National Assessment of Educational Progress, which is often referred to as the nation's report card, assesses both public and private school students in subjects such as math, reading, science, and writing. The most recent data does show that what other research has found. Private school students do score better in almost all subjects. On college entry tests, such as the SAT and so forth, they did find that students in private schools consistently outperformed their public school peers in all subject areas. You know, the other thing that I would say is that parents of kids who go to private school do tend to be more engaged when their kids are going to private schools because they're paying for it. They've got skin in the game. So that is part of the dynamic here as well. So there's a lot to discuss because the Democrats are saying that this is a defunding of the public schools, but it's really not. Because as, Governor Lee and some others have said, this is coming out of two different pots. You have the school funding for the public schools, and then there's a different bucket that is going to go towards, these vouchers. And Governor Lee says, yeah, this is something that he's always wanted to do. And we've always known that the governor has this agenda, and it's a good agenda. It's a true agenda that is designed to help kids. It is designed to help disadvantaged kids. That's the whole point, and other kids as well. I mean, one of the concerns of the Democrats are that these families that can already afford to go to these private schools, why are they getting more money? Why are they going to get more money? Well, the governor told, this was Channel 5, that those kids who need the help the most will be able to get that help first.
There's the criticism that this becomes kind of a handout to families that might be able to afford this anyway. What would be your reaction?
Yeah, well, certainly there's a prioritization, as you know, so that those students who have the greatest need for this and the least capacity to access it will have capacity first, will have access first. At the end of the day, then, every Tennessee family will have the opportunity to access a program.
Yeah. But the disadvantaged and the needy get to utilize those first. And at least for me, I'm very much in line with the concept of what the governor wants to do. My worry, as I stated the other day, is this something that is going to, number one, be passed through the state legislature? Because I do believe that it's going to be close. But number two, my worry is that it may be too much too soon. He also told Channel 5 that, yes, we do need to be committed to both public and private schools.
The vast number of our children are going to go to public schools, even with a school choice program. We have to be committed to our public school systems and in an even greater way than we have been in the past, and we'll do that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, for Governor Lee, I think that he's got a fight ahead of him. But I believe it is a just fight, and I do hope that this does pass. And I also hope, because I'm a great believer in public schools, I'm a great believer in choice when it comes to schools. And you want to give these students the assistance that they need to make better, get a better education and have a terrific, productive life. Give them a fair opportunity by going to these private schools, allowing them to get a better education. I'm seeing a lot of folks out there, even some conservatives, are for the concept, but they're not sure if this is biting off more than we can chew. That's going to be one of the big questions that as we find out more information on this and we find out the implementation of what the governor wants to do, is it actually attainable? State Rep Mark White says this is not defunding public schools, telling Channel 5.
White argues that characterizing this as defunding public education simply isn't true.
In this particular case, what the governor's proposing is this will not be money coming from current public school funding, which we now call TISA, Tennessee Investment Student Achievement. This is a separate pot of state money.
Yeah, you know what? Doesn't competition always make folks better? And so let's face it, if the public schools are threatened by the notion of people choosing to go to private schools, well, then maybe the public schools need to step it up. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a ton of really good public schools across Tennessee. But then there's some that are not so good. And it's those students in the not so good that I believe are the ones that need help. And oftentimes you give these schools, buckets of money. You give teachers raises, you fund these schools to the best of your state's ability, and the scores don't go up. And so something has got to give. And so for me, the next question is, what is it that these Democrats really are afraid of? Because I just played you the audio, and first of all, a whole bunch of disinformation in that audio montage that I just played for you. But, beyond all of that, here's the thing. Are the Democrats afraid of losing power? Losing the ability to indoctrinate our kids? Losing their ability to control the next generation with what they teach? I think, me personally, I think that is part of it. I mean, let's face it. What is happening in some of these schools, not all of these schools, but with some of these schools is abhorrent. You look at Shelby County. You look at some schools in Davidson County as well. Although from what I understand, Davidson County has started to show improvement, but still, I believe that there is a lot of room for improvement. And you know what? Today's generation of kids, they don't have time to wait. Their time is now to get a better education. And that's what the governor is trying to do with school choice, which is very much of a conservative tenet. That is something that conservatives, if you are conservatives, you believe in everyone being able to get the best education that they possibly can, and school vouchers or whatever it is that you want to call the governor's plan, I think it is, in concept, a good one. Now, as far as why should families who can already afford private schools get state funding, well, equality, I would say, of course. Why should families who sacrifice and scrimp be penalized for putting their kids' education at the top of their list of priorities? I mean, I want you to think about that. So as you listen to that audio montage of all of those Democrats, and they're talking about how, Governor Lee is just trying to help his rich friends. BS. Because there are families out there that work 2 jobs. They drive Uber. They do whatever it is that they have to do to send their kids to a private school. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're rich. It means that they are determined.
And maybe their kids are in a learning environment where the discipline is lacking in that school, and it's affecting their kids' education.
And Ken, you are absolutely right. I mean, you go to some of these schools and the hands are tied. The administrators, the folks in the school, their hands are tied, and they don't allow the kids ultimately to be disciplined. That's also a big part of the problem. There is more accountability in private schools, period.
It only takes one student to disrupt an entire classroom, man.
Yep.
That's all it takes.
That is absolutely.
And some of these families are trapped.
And that's a great word for it, Ken. That is a great word for it. Some of these, you think all these parents that have their kids going to schools in Shelby County and some of these schools in Shelby County, do you think they really want their kids to be going to school in that kind of an environment? No, of course not. Now, the governor was also asked, remember, it's $7,075, and the governor was asked, is that enough? Because remember, here in Tennessee, the average private school cost in Tennessee is somewhere around $11,000 or so. The governor was asked about that.
I think that we've got to pick the right amount for our budget, but we've also seen that many of the schools, we have 75 schools in our ESA program, for example. Many of those schools have provided scholarships of their own for children who have elected to join their school. It's working with the ESA program with a similar amount of money, so we feel like this is the way forward.
It's Governor Lee, and, listen, I've had my differences with Governor Lee. However, I think on this particular topic, I think that by and large, he is spot on. Again, we still have to see some of the details, but that is why there is going to be a fight ahead between Republicans and Democrats, and also Republicans versus Republicans as well, because there are some out there that are saying that they cannot go for this plan. So our coverage will continue.